Welcome. My name is Duke, and I am sailing Magic. Magic is my 2015 Lagoon catamaran. So I left Bimini to head for West Bay. West Bay is on New Providence Island. That's where Nassau is located. Nassau is actually the biggest city there. There's 4 old ports on New Providence Island. One of them is Charlotte, Port Charlotte, which is quite interesting to look at. It still has a lot of structure there and a lot of interesting things to investigate. Then going around the corner, I went to West Bay, and that's where Peter Nygaard has his mansion that was built on the idea of a Mayan temple. Of course, then a big windstorm came up. Not a big storm, but a windstorm. You might decide to hold up a bit and not proceed forward. But from there, I went down to Highbourne Cay, which is in the Exumas. I had a nice long sail. From there, I went down to Norman's Cay, and one of the attractions there is a drug smuggler's airplane wreck that you can dive. Now, one interesting thing is when fish come right up to you and veer away at the last second, it means somebody's probably been feeding them. They're looking for a handout, and that's pretty much what's happening there. This wreck was advertised or described as a DC-3. The locals told me that one of Pablo Escobar's men dropped off a load of drugs. It was unloaded. Then he went to the local bar, got drunk, and crashed the plane on takeoff. Now the plane is pointing away from the runway, so that doesn't sound like it's impossible or improbable. The back of the bone is cracked in half, so it probably pancaked in pretty hard. Now this is described as a DC-3, but the DC-3 and the Curtis C47 both have a dog snout on the front of it, and then windows that are pretty vertical. And if you notice, this one has the curved egg-shaped front, and that would be a Curtis C46. So a little different airplane, but doesn't make a whole lot of difference unless you're into airplanes. You can tell that the propellers all bent when it went in. It's very interesting to go down and note the little details. It's not a deep dive, you can snorkel it. Scuba gear lets you get in a little closer. There's a little current there, but it's not too bad. And actually there's several places where you can stand. Other places are deeper. It also depends on what the tide is like at that time. So again, the fish will come right up to you. One interesting part is that you can stick your head right in the airplane and see the cargo bay. There's nothing left in it now, but you can definitely tell where the fuselage is cracked in half, where it plowed in. So it hit pretty hard. The cargo bay is pretty big. The front part is gone, but the back part is still pretty well enclosed. The current was actually going through the hatch at that time. Both engines are still there. The damage is pretty severe, but not all the damage was caused by the crash itself. Some of it was subsequent storms and just natural corrosion from the salt water. Aluminum does pretty good in salt water, but still over time, especially if other metals are near it, it's going to have problems. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about marine toilets. If they're improperly used, you can create quite a mess, and they don't operate anything near the way a land toilet does. There's a lot more levers and a lot different plumbing. So try to keep in mind that there's certain times you need to put water into the marine toilet, and certain times you want it to be fairly dry. Today I'm going to discuss how to use a marine manual toilet. It's not anywhere near the same as a toilet you would use on land. And I happen to have a brand new toilet here that I'm going to install on one of the heads so I can show you on this while it's nice and clean. So first of all, this T-handle does a couple of different things. Number one, right now when it's in the cross position, it says that's locked. It's got an arrow pointing to a locked thing, and you can turn it to the right or turn it to the left. Now this is the pump. You pull this up and push it down, try to do it with one hand, to pump water and waste in and out of the toilet. When you have it, this lever up here, this tells you whether you're going to pump water in or not. You put this to the left, and that pumps in seawater into the toilet. Now I got to tell you that normally you keep these toilets pretty dry so that nothing is sloshing around and so it's not too smelly. Do it to the left, 2 or 3 pumps to get water down into the bowl if you're going to poop. If you're just going to pee, you have it to the right. Again, this just tells the handle here, when you're pumping it, if you pump it now, it will pump water into the toilet as well as trying to get some of the water out. Do it this way and you get the last of the water out, or if it's pee, you get everything out, all the pee out. So that's the important thing. And then when you're done, you rotate it sideways to this locked position to prevent any backflow. So there you have it. Normally, in case you don't know, there would be a toilet seat on here and a cover just like a regular toilet. And this is porcelain, just like a regular toilet. So it's not entirely different, but a whole different plumbing situation. Now for the age-old sailor's tradition, sundowners. Have a great day. Fair winds.